Welcome back, Noble Heroes. We return once again. The characters have just teleported back up to the billiard room where they expect to change Myrbbin back to his normal self and get some information out of him if they can. But first, I'm going to go ahead and give you all our pledge. We here at the Homebrew channel reserve the right to be horrible, crass, and crude when the story calls for it. But also to be delightful, sweet, and tug on your heartstrings. And remember, do try this at home. We return back as the characters poof into the room. Shadow takes a second more to fully materialize in the room. And you have the book in the ring.
June is going to retrieve the... Oh, she asked where the actual body of Myrbbin is located.
You asked the tower?
Mm-hmm.
The body of Myrbbin is not in the tower.
Then did it exit the tower?
It was transformed into an inanimate object.
Oh, he polymorphed it. Okay, retrieve the little figure and put it in the floor.
Alright.
And she goes, remove curse?
That requires the Tutorius charm. It's going to flip back to the same incantation.
Do so.
Alright.
She goes, here we go again.
You cast the Tutorius incantation once again. Another 10 minutes of ritualistic casting and spellcraft.
I would like to point out I am not changing Melon back, just Myrbbin.
As the sparkle of magic swirls about, it's going to clap into the toy, and you will see an aged human man with a wrinkled face, sort of white, kind of well-kept hair. He has a sagely expression, but right now he looks a little bewildered. He goes, whoa.
She goes, a chair for him.
He sits.
Greetings, Myrbbin.
The nightmare is over?
For the time being, yes.
I assume you know what has happened.
Your son went crazy, she says.
You're going to see him flinch at your words. Is he well?
He is currently in the same form that you just were in, and he is locked in his own prison dungeon. I will allow you to do with him as you wish.
May I?
She removes the ring and hands it back.
Tower, return to standard practice immediately, he says as he slips the ring on. It says in process. So, I imagine you came here for some manner of favor or wisdom. Let's hear it then.
She's kind of like, well, I don't really need it anymore, but okay. She goes, I imagine you are aware of what has happened to Fate. We came seeking any information on that.
He says, I'm afraid, Godmother, that I have been away for several days. I have not heard any news.
She nods.
He's going to look up at the angel and then kind of looks around at the rest of you. He seems mostly chagrin. He doesn't have an expression specifically on any one of you, just that there is a group of people. He obviously seems very embarrassed.
That's fair. She's attempting to be fairly diplomatic about it.
He's going to Andre. The book is going to sort of float down. Bring up the last few days of recordings, he says. What are effectively like magical eyes that have been watching the tower invisibly are going to spit their images before him. And he's going to sort of like move his finger to fast forward and rewind them. You say there was some manner of breaking? What has happened? He seems a little panicked.
She is going to update him on what exactly we told the kings and queens as well. The same things.
Wait. There was something. When did the prophecy come?
She gives the exact date and time.
He states the date to the book, and it is going to flip 2 weeks prior, he says, once it reaches that moment. It's going to flip to 2 weeks before the prophecy landed. And you will see a couple of entries that you saw but passed over because they didn't contain anything about fate breaking. You are going to see instead what appears to be mostly dialogue, just lines that are written. And he says, these engines. He points at the book. You see at the top of this small, sort of scrawled small and chicken scratch is Thran Engine. He goes, these have something to do with it. When I woke up, it was like a nightmare, he said. A terrible feeling in my guts that I hadn't had for 100 years. And I felt something strange. A faultiness in my dreaming. I passed it off as indigestion at the time, but when I think about it now, it feels like a panic. The same way that you described the prophecy.
Can I roll history to know if I know anything about this?
You do not.
Okay.
He says,
are there any, what are the specifics in the dialogue about the Thran Engines?
So, you did read them, but I will go ahead and announce them as he's going to, so that the whole party can know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this happened about 34 days ago at this point. It was what he describes his last clear dream. His other dreams were kind of muddled. He didn't get a lot of information out of them. And he says as much. He says, was strange. I believe that this information, although it was not explicitly said so, is for you all. He's going to look down. You can tell that he is making educated guesses. You imagine that a fate that's so ephemeral, he has to go a lot by his gut instincts and his experience in the matter. And you believe he's doing that now. There were keys, he says. There were keys. He's going to flip, and he will show you 4 keys. He says, they are keys to the engines. And the engines exist in a sort of pocket dimension, if you will. They change location, but they stay in a location that matches the energy that they draw, he says. One of them is an engine of war or battle, he says. Another one, an engine of life and death. One, an engine of protection. And the last, an engine of secrets, he says. He is going to... There were riddles. Yes, here they are, he says. 4 clues I left myself about the engine's locations. The first riddle, he says, it didn't make any sense to me. I don't know what the solution is, only that at the end of these riddles lies the engines. The first one is, where bastards make kingdoms on the bones of the broken. He says as he sort of adjusts his glasses.
I already know where that is.
Yeah. Good old home.
Riddle 2. Where shadows pools beneath the shade of a skeleton tree. Riddle 3. Where the last child waits in the veins of night. And 4, final riddle. Where the barrier begins and never ends. I don't know which engine corresponds to which riddle either. But I do know that they require 4 keys, he says. And he is going to flip the page a few things to a thing that you saw, but did not know the import of. There are just pictures alone of 4 separate, very unique, very strange keys.
How detailed are the diagrams?
Extremely. The moment, Euphemia, you lay your eyes on one of the keys, you know exactly where it is. He is going to showcase the pictures of these 4 keys. The first of them appears to be a key which the teeth of look like literal fangs. It has ridges along it, like the ridges you might see on a fish. And then it has a green eye at the very back of it. Euphemia.
Euphia's going to start a little bit when she sees it.
Yes, you recognize this key from Ronan. Ronan keeps this key around his neck and has for as long as you've known him. You have reached your hand into Ronan at one point, so go ahead and roll me an intelligence check to see if you even
glimpsed anything?
Yeah, this specific thing.
Okay. Nope, it's 12.
Then make a persuasion check to see if you have in the past convinced Ronan to talk
about it. 18?
You have. At one point, while Ronan was a little drunk, you got him to speak about it. He said, "It's my trophy. When I defeated Dead Tom, who killed the Kraken, and after I entered its corpse to see what long-forgotten things it had swallowed, I found the key inside on its tongue. Makes me feel alive. It's one of the few things that can."
She would have asked him, what does it go to?
It helps me always remember where the isle is. Far away, the eye closes. But near the Kraken, the eye begins to open. Though it's never opened fully, except for when I first found it. He says, "It's all I know. It's like a strong, fierce bolt of adrenaline. But every year it wears off a little more," he says. "Eventually it might not do it. And I won't feel much at all," he says.
So Yuffie would say, I know that. I know that one.
You do? Hero asks.
Unexpectedly, yes. It hangs around the neck of my mentor.
Who's that? Hero says. Even Shadow is sort of like,
Isn't it obvious? She leans back. The king of all pirates. Ronan. I have an inkling he has no idea what it actually is.
You don't by chance know where he got it, do you?
Belly of a kraken. It swallowed it. Why do you think that's important?
I don't know.
He won't be pleased to part with it, she says.
Zarafan is going to sort of cross his arms. You said one of the engines was an engine of battle, didn't you? Zarafan says to Myrbbin. He's going to nod. I can't think of a greater battle in the last century than Dead Tom versus Ronan Ironhand.
True enough. He did describe an odd feeling he gets sometimes with it on. Like a bolt of adrenaline, or that moment when you're in a fight and you feel alive. Something like that.
Perhaps that's important. Zarafan says.
And the eye, it opens and closes. The further he is from the isle, I believe, the more it closes.
One could then interpret it as that it is an indicator of where this engine is located. As one would expect. Assuming the Isle of Bones.
Well, the Kraken's corpse.
Isn't the Kraken's corpse?
Isn't it right near there, though?
It is underneath
Yeah,
the Isle.
yeah, I was
The
gonna
Isle
say.
is built on top of the corpse.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's where it is.
Well, then it seems as though your theory may be correct, Myrbbin. Continue on the keys.
Please.
He's going to showcase the second key, which is a nasty thing. A solid black metal bar. At the end of it are what look to be sharpened human teeth as the key teeth. And the ring of it has a small open eye. But this one is significantly more human-like than the previous key. Then a key with a dragon's head on the place where your thumb goes. And it appears to have multiple intricate juts and lancings of the metal teeth at the end of it. The most complicated key you've seen in probably your whole lives. And finally, what looks to be a key made almost entirely out of thorny, prickly wood with a small rose where your thumb would grab.
Anyone else recognize anything? She asks.
Nobody does.
No, but I got a theory.
June
Oh.
seems to be contemplating, keeping your thoughts to yourself at the moment. You continue.
One of them's an engine of protection.
That's correct.
Maybe Garen. That
That
key's
was my thought.
key's got dragon stuff on it, maybe.
I would assume that was the barrier that begins and never ends. The walls of Garen.
It's as good a guess as any. Probably better than most. Zarfin says.
Can I see your written riddles? No?
No,
Okay, that's
not
fine.
anymore. Sorry.
What was the first one? The first riddle you read?
The first one was, where bastards make kingdoms on the bones of the broken, which I would assume is the Isle of Bones.
It is the Isle of Bones.
June says, I believe I know where the second riddle is located.
Oh.
Where the shadows pool beneath the shade of a skeleton tree. I believe they are speaking of Yggdrasil. It is located in the Feyvale. Where the Gustway is located.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, that part of the map.
Yeah, she
that you
keeps
have?
going and she's like, wait. Yeah.
like oh, that part of the map that you know what is.
She nods. That area is infested with the darkness.
It would be very difficult to get to Yggdrasil now.
Yes. Incredibly.
But not impossible, you're saying.
What was the other riddle?
The final riddle, the one we don't know the answer to yet. Where the last child waits in veins of night.
The last child?
Can I ask an out-of-game question really quick?
Yeah.
What is the order... Do we know the order of, like, the ages of the world dragons?
Yes. You know what they think.
Okay, well, what do they think?
Well, Lattice is the youngest.
Okay. Just checking. Thank you.
I am glad that my theory bore fruit, Myrbbin says. I hope these are quite helpful to you.
I believe you have given us priceless knowledge. Thank you.
What is today?
She says the date.
Thank you.
How long were you a toy for?
Seems about 12 days.
He just kind of yeah.
I am quite behind schedule for my appointment at the King's Tournament, he says. You're going to get a glance from Zarathan that clearly says things never change.
Yo. She's just kind of very, very faintly just goes,
I am most grateful to you for saving me. As such, allow me, in addition to these prophecies and information, to provide you with gifts, he says. He is going to walk out of the hallway. Follow me. He says. You're going to be led to a storeroom. Anything in here that you like, he says, feel free to take it. As you look in the storeroom, Jennifer, you know that this is like his leftover junk that he doesn't want anymore. It is like stored in like a storage closet, but it's like a really big chamber. So as you walk in, there's a bunch of like magical knickknacks. None of them work
uneducated,
well.
it would look amazing.
Yeah, it looks like a treasure vault, but it's just a bunch of garbage.
His garage.
Yeah, basically. He's
You're
like,
so generous.
oh, yes. Well, I best get back, he says.
What are you going to do with the boy? If he asks.
I am still considering my options. Excuse me. He's going to walk away. He sort of shuffles down the hall. Zarathan's going to sort of look into the room.
She
Well.
just looks at him and nods. Well, if you see anything you want, I guess.
Roland leaves the room.
Can
Well,
I?
so other people, would they notice that it was...
I mean, there might be something useful, like a gem in here.
It looks so overwhelming.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yuffie's gonna want to pick through it.
Go for it.
Is there anything...
At least hey, if anybody could find a treasure, it would be her.
Yeah.
I want to find something I could use for my constructs.
All right. You go ahead and begin to search. Yuffie, give me a perception check as you head inside.
It's not gonna be very good.
June, are you going to look?
She shrugs on the off chance that he screwed up and put something here he didn't mean to. Have a peek around.
14.
Hey, this is a nice staff, Hero says as he heads up towards it. As he goes to pick up the staff, it's going to, start whacking down at him furiously, chasing him around the room. He goes, help!
How heavy is it?
The staff?
Yeah.
Looks like a big quarterstaff.
Could I grab it with my Telekinesis?
Yeah.
She goes,
It's going to... And then it's like shaking around in your hand.
oh, she's not holding it. She's just telekinesis it away and leans it against the wall.
Oh, okay. As soon as you do that, it's just kind of...
Be careful what you touch.
Always.
What did you roll, Yuffie?
14.
14. Okay.
What do I need to roll?
You can roll on camera.
Okay, go for her.
Yuffie, as you look around, you are actually going to be picking through. You sort of see these portraits hanging on the ceiling. A couple of them are of Myrbbin, but others are older. Looks like maybe a wizard in sort of white robes. He has a sort of black beard with a mustache. And you see like a whole bunch of students or apprentice wizards around him. You see like piles of stuff. You have no idea what it is. It looks like a bunch of magical experimental junk. Like glass vials are in here, sort of half broken. There's like a giant metal disc with a bunch of like runic symbols on it, one of which is like sort of half like sparking a little bit. And then as you round the corner, there's like a bunch of statues that have been placed in this area, and almost all of them are of like pointy-hatted wizards.
Are there any, like, chests of anything, or...?
As you pass by, one of the statues is going to say, "Password! Password! Password!" Which is going to echo
I think
for
you guys
the
are
next,
starting
like,
to get the feeling
3
of what this
minutes.
room is.
You're going to see, like, a picture of a woman whose hair is, like, visibly blowing in the scene. And it's just, like, her sort of enjoying the wind. But it's just... That's all it is.
Is there anything she can find that would be worthy to sell someplace for money?
You're going to see a little sparkle of what looks to be on the back of a glove, sort of stuck in between 2 slats of wood.
Okay. She'll go towards it.
As you sort of grab onto the glove and pull it, you're going to pull out what looks to be a pretty fine leather glove, about the size of your hand. It's got like a bejeweled green brooch in it. It sort of has this interesting shine to it. You actually find the other glove sort of stuck in the wooden pallet and pull it out. It's a pair, but the left or the right index finger is missing.
She'll bring them back to June, actually.
Good call.
Any idea what these do?
What, Cheryl?
They're Apprentice Wizard gloves. These particular ones, as you look at the shine of them, you can cast a Mage Hand.
She goes, if it works correctly, it should be able to cast Mage Hand. I have that cantrip on this character.
The gloves are clearly small for like a child.
I would guess they were probably originally from Melon.
She kind of holds them out a little bit. Are they
Can I
worth it?
tell if they work?
It looks like they should be intact.
They should be fine. You can try them on if you like.
She pulls it off and then puts her hand in one. Does it work with just one? She asks.
You have to have both.
No, it requires both.
I hate taking these off. She takes the other off and puts her hands in both. So what do I do with it?
Concentrate and then do this. She does a fairly simple hand gesture, and then a magical hand appears in front of you. It's kind of shimmery.
I just think about a hand.
No, you don't have to think about it. You just do that gesture.
This is somebody who's never cast anything, so...
Yeah, no, she specifically says, just do this gesture.
Okay, so she does.
And then the magical hand will appear.
As soon as you do the gesture, the shine of the emeralds is going to vanish. And you're going to see a little copy of your own hand appear in the air.
What do you use this for? She asked.
Pick that up. She gestures at a little trinket that's on the ground.
With the hand?
Yes, it has an extended range of 30 feet. Mind you can only pick up things that are less than 10 pounds.
Do you try?
She'll try.
You kind of like think about it, and it doesn't do anything. So you kind of like put your hands towards it, and the little hand shoots towards it, and then go like that, and the hand goes like that, and grabs the thing, and then you kind of lift it up by moving your hands upwards.
It's a shortcut to a wizard's cantrip.
Huh.
They're fairly handy, especially if you don't want to touch what it... She kind of pauses and goes, unintentional. It allows you to grab things that you don't particularly wish to touch with your hands. Or if they are volatile.
Or if a latch is, say, booby-trapped or something like that.
Generally, yes.
Looks like these ones is like the lowest form. She actually like needs to move her hands with them.
She goes, if it were the real cantrip, you could simply use your mind to do it, but it looks like you'll have to puppet it.
So she brings it back.
Yeah, so it's
Neat.
like this to bring back, that to go forward, and then you can just control the hand with your own hand.
Interesting.
As you bring it over towards you, I mean, it carries it.
She'll keep looking at the hand and then say, how do I make it stop?
She does another gesture, and it's another fairly simple one. It's put your two fingers there and turn it.
She mimics it.
It stops.
She's going to try the
light
gesture
and the emerald
again.
does not fill. Looks like they only have power to do it once a day.
Huh.
It should recharge over a 24-hour or so period. Sometimes the catalyst is the sun's rise or fall.
Interesting. She'll take them off,
Moonrise.
and then she'll immediately put her regular gloves back on.
Isaac, as you are searching, you're gonna you find a sort of a mechanically built hand. You sort of like fish out of the trash. But then you look at it and you see that it's like a puppet. It's not like a mechanism. It's not clockwork. So you like toss to the side. It's junk. But then you round a corner and see standing there two creatures. Both of them metal entities.
Oh man, look at these things.
You can tell that they are covered in rock dust. It looks like that both of them were for mining, but you see their power cores have been pulled out and set aside. Clearly out of power.
So their power cores are missing entirely.
Dead. Not missing.
Okay.
The stones that once fueled them have been drained.
Okay.
Looks like they're completely useless at this point.
He'll walk up to them and kneel down and inspect them a little bit and then animate them and see if they can move on their own.
As you do, one of them, you can tell that the creatures are covered in, it looks like they worked in a mine, by the like coal dust and other things sort of filling the cracks of their feet. But you can tell that they've worked long, hard years, but are still in good repair. It looks like they've been in here for a long time, as there's like a coat of dust on the top of their heads. You expect the voice box of one that has like a bullhorn as a face. And you wonder if this thing can talk. As do you place your finger on it to awaken them?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you do. You awaken them. Both of them are going to like shift their weight, and a couple of little like rain of dust will fall from them.
I will the bronze one to speak.
June actually will do that. That's what she does.
You're gonna see like its voice sort of builds up in the back, and then like this giant rock shoots out of its horn and knocks like a pile of crap over in the background, like causing an avalanche of junk. And then it's going to say, "Greetings!"
Oh, that's the worst one yet,
Okay.
Yuki will say.
I look over to the silver one and I will the same thing to see if it can speak.
Nothing comes from it.
Okay. I'll make my way back to the party.
Okay.
With them?
Yeah.
I rolled a 22 Arcana.
22 Arcana. All right. As you look around the room,
She does not feel hopeful.
you will find that there is almost nothing of any magical use in this room to you. The only thing that there is a small power crystal used during the Age of Magic to charge self-propelling machines.
Like that?
Yes, but it's too big for that. It is maybe 20 pounds.
Okay. She'll pick it up.
Okay.
She shrugs, not expecting to find anything else.
You are correct.
She looks around. Where's Hero?
You
Did he
see,
try for anything else? Okay.
he is going to come out. Look at this, he says. He sort of holds up a young apprentice staff that has a couple of marks of enchantment on it. It looks like he has found a improvement to his own staff.
Aw, good.
Hero gains a +1 weapon. All
And
right.
you said you left the room, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where's Shadow?
Shadow is sniffing around the shadow realm.
Gotcha. Wait, oh, wrong place. We're good. Never mind. Ignore that.
All right.
What does Zarafin doing?
He's kind of window shopping. You see him pick up a scroll and he sort of unrolls it and then just sort of like tosses it backwards.
She goes, lovely place, isn't it?
He goes, this is how he keeps it so neat, I imagine.
Yes, allowing rubes to look it over.
He says, well, what does that make us?
She goes, well, you never know. He might screw up and put something nice in.
So, are
He
we
didn't.
giving, are you planning on giving him a slap on the wrist? Or are we just leaving?
Is it worth it?
I don't know. You're the one who cares about these things. He smiles a little bit.
She sighs and goes, I'd rather just get back to the ship, honestly.
He says, seems fine with me.
She goes, want to carry this for me?
Sure. He takes it.
She actually would probably be two-fisting it.
So, with your goodies, if you can call them that, you all leave the room, and you're all meet up in the hallway again. Roland, you stand up from your sitting position, and the group is together. Do you guys say anything?
Are we seeing ourselves out, or?
It would seem.
I'm uncomfortable leaving the boy like that.
Yeah, I
Who
hope he
knows what
takes
he'll
it
do?
easy on him.
Myrbbin, that is. What if he...
There was a point when Myrbbin genuinely cared about his son. Perhaps this will be an awakening for him.
He doesn't seem like a man prone to change.
He's also not a man prone to being turned into a toy for several days.
Maybe it was good for him.
I hope so.
I'm kind of worried about him. Both of them, Hero says. Is there
Why so?
something we could do to help?
They need somebody else here, too. Clearly.
I don't think that's going to happen. Hero says.
June looks at you guys and seeing what you guys are thinking right now. Is this, like, really important to you guys?
Oh, no, not
What
really.
you all are discussing about Myrbbin doesn't seem important to Isaac.
Yeah.
Okay.
He...
If he's just uncomfortable.
I just-
about it.
Roland's just like, man, this could easily be fixed by just having a neighbor, but they're never gonna do that, so there's no point. Like...
It's not good to have two roommates just stuck with each other.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yuffie looks like she's thinking about something. No. I suppose... She looks at her hands. I suppose there's nothing we should do.
Some people just gotta come around on their own.
I'll keep an eye on the procedures. Zarfin says. Or at least I'll make sure there's an eye in this direction.
Good.
But I imagine that whatever emotional processes need to happen are going to take place over several months, and not immediately. And we have much more important things to do, don't we?
Shall we return to your boat? Ship. She corrects herself because she saw your face.
She's going to look at...
Sorry?
Are you coming?
If you'll have me. It was quite tiring to fly all the way here.
I wouldn't turn away an angel, but you are going to amaze my crew and terrify them.
He's going to fold his wings into his back and turn into a human. How about now?
That's going to be accepted a little better.
He says...
It's been a while since you took that one.
He says, maybe more recently than you think.
Mm.
So, shall we?
Let's go.
You guys do remember Pozix is waiting for us outside.
Yes, I
He's
do.
going to be really grumpy.
Well, he'll be fine.
You all are going
When
to...
is he not grumpy?
That's why June said that.
You all are going to walk out the front of the tower, and you will see Pozix sitting, his arms over his knees, adjacent to the tower, and he will stands up as soon as you come out. Greetings, he says. He zooms towards Juniper.
Greetings, messenger.
Mail first, he says. He is going to... And that to you. This one is for Roland or Juniper, he says. He's going to hand it to Roland. Juniper. Again, Juniper or Roland.
Gestures.
That is all, he says.
Thank you. We'll call you if we have any more messages. Anything else?
Yes. Would like an update on the messenger.
She tells him that he's beginning to have a bit more of a personality, but still has no memories of when he was a messenger or prior to when he was infected. She says that he's enjoying hunting along with Queeby. But he does still have his speediness, but it tires him out very much. She would say it in more technical terms. I just didn't want to.
How long will this state continue?
Would that I knew. He is a unique case. He still behaves as a child.
I will return tomorrow, he says.
As you like.
Is there any mail?
Not right now.
Yes.
June had something, but
Zarfin
it's
says.
going to him.
He's going to pull out of his robe, actually, like a stack of letters, and hands them over. And then Pozix is going to look at you all, and then he will nod.
He was like, do I have to? Shame on you taking advantage of the poor messenger.
He asked. So,
This way.
you're
She
going to
gestures.
see, as soon as you head to the edge of the plateau, it looks exactly the same outside as it has. It's getting on to twilight, actually, at this point. But it's still the wide open plain around you with tall grasses and a single road headed back towards the main.
How long of a journey was it back to the boat? I can't remember. It was
It's a
like
half
2.
day.
Oh, okay. I was thinking 2 days for some reason.
No, half day.
Okay. So we'll reach it by dark.
Alright.
I'm not super concerned about, traveling at night, considering our current company.
It's an advantage.
This whole group, I think we're alright.
As the group heads to the edge of the plateau. The stairwell is going to appear before you, and you walk down, and then it disappears. As the group heads back along the road and takes the short trail back in the direction of the Elephant. You all are walking along the road together. Hero is going to say, "Is it alright for me to ride on Shadow?"
Yeah.
He's going to, climb up on her. What do the notes say? Or are they private?
June would have already read them, but Sarah hasn't read them yet, so I'm reading them now.
Pits and Bridgewalk.
What'd you say?
Pits and Bridgewalk.
Yeah, I told you guys that, didn't I?
Yeah, they're asking us to come help.
What's
June actually will stop and say, "Did you come through Bridgewalk?"
I did. It's still on lockdown, but I didn't stop for very long. So, as the other two are currently ensconced in thinking or their notes, Zarfan is going to turn towards the other two of you. Quite the adventure so far on your first prophecy, or is this the old hat for you?
Prophecy's new. Adventure, well, and she gestures to herself. It's what we pirates trade in, really.
He nods. He says, quite far out to the east for pirates.
Well, we go where the journey takes us.
And you?
This is all new to me. Can't say I've ever been inside of Myrbbin's tower, let alone turned into a toy before.
Well, yes, that was new.
He says, so, a good experience, one worth repeating? He
Turning
smiles
into a
little bit.
toy?
He says,
Sorry.
sometimes you just get bored.
I don't think that I would live quite long enough for that.
He nods. He says, well, if I remember correctly, you are quite the chess player.
Is he saying that to me?
Yes.
I used to consider myself quite good, but you should meet some of the people on our boat. Ship.
Well, I know a couple that are good at chess here, he says. Cassian told me that you were exceptional.
That's quite flattering. Do you have a set with you?
What'd you say?
I ask if he carries a chess set with him.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
We do have one back at the ship, if you'd like to partake.
She goes, "I have one in my bag." She absently says it as she
You
walks.
can't quite level walk it.
Well, you could.
Okay, well, let's not.
I didn't say it was a great idea.
So, Cassian speaks of you often.
Really? Even now?
Especially now.
Why especially? It's been quite some time since we walked together.
Well, he does tend to believe that his current promotion was on your behalf.
I see. And what is he up to now? Last you spoke with him.
He is in deep study at the moment, trying to figure out the complicated equations for this current breakdown.
I see.
I guess you could say he's researching and watching. He said that the two of you met near here.
Are we near where we met?
Yes.
Okay.
You may be like a day from the canyon.
Okay. I will mention that we did meet, at a canyon up in that direction.
How is it that you're able to appear as you do?
What do you mean?
Well, You can feel undead if you want.
I'm not quite so sure how I'm able to do it. Still something I'm kind of coming to terms with.
Yuffie's suddenly really tuned into this conversation.
Yeah, so is June. She's just watching.
I imagine it has something to do with that. He says, pointing his pinky at the stone.
The Sin Stone or the
No,
engine?
the engine.
Okay.
With what? Yuffie breaks in.
I had made the same connection, but I know so little about this thing I can't say much more than that.
It's a piece of a guardian, isn't it?
That it is.
It's
Would
the
you
heart
happen
of a guardian. Is it not?
It is.
You have something else's heart in you.
I do.
That's odd.
That
How
was
long is this
unknown
walk back to the
information?
boat?
Oh, it's a day and a half. Leo, it's a half a day. Good luck.
You're stuck.
Ah.
Yep.
He says, I apologize, I didn't know that wasn't well-known information.
Perhaps it should have been.
It's alright. It's not necessarily a secret, and there's no point in keeping a secret from an angel, and now is there?
I don't know.
But yes, if you're so curious. And then Isaac will kind of like... He's wearing like a button-down shirt underneath his robes, and you'll kind of unbutton and pull it to the side, and you'll see this big... How would you describe it?
It's a gemstone.
Okay. Like this big, like, purple gemstone, like, stuck in his chest.
Yuffie can't help but have her hand reach just a little bit towards
It looks
it.
like that.
Oh, wow. Oh. That's a heart?
It's the heart of something.
A guardian.
A guardian. Yes.
They're,
The original people. Well, made by them at least.
there were a number of races here when we arrived.
Fair.
The guardians were merely already gone, for the most part.
Thus, more original.
They
That
only
we know
numbered
of.
in about the 300s by the time the dragons started rearranging the continents.
Were all of the guardians that large?
No. Some of them were as small as men are today, he says. One thing I did note since we brought up size just now is when Zarfan was, threatened by you, he was actually, twice as tall.
This
as he
was
is
an
now.
accurate representation.
Yeah. He shrinks about, 4 feet when he's out of his battle mode.
Zarathan, it seems you know quite a bit about this race, as do you, Juniper. Could you maybe tell me more?
I am the guard of knowledge, he says.
Many of their corpses littered the depths of the ocean.
Krator wanted to get rid of them. He thought that they might pose a threat, so he buried them beneath the waves.
Yes, there's an exceptionally deep trench. About halfway between here and Vars.
I know that their trash pieces have been ripped off over time, and some of them wind up in Zatlaut's whirlpool.
Okay, so into the ocean is where most of them went.
Krator did bury a select few, but some of the smaller ones I hear crept away, but they all froze.
That we know.
I see. I do believe this one came from one of the ones that were buried.
We know that they were popularized before we arrived.
June holds a hand out and she creates an illusion. They make tiny little action figures. Sort of like they make of you.
Are those sold now?
No.
Oh,
We found them.
I understand. Okay.
A friend of mine has a very vast collection.
But yes, we were in dire straits once. I won't get into the details, but Prongor took this thing and, in a moment of clarity, shoved it into my chest.
That's clarity.
Clarity or
Desperation?
desperation.
Seems more accurate.
Do you all say anything about your notes?
I was waiting to be
Yeah,
able to...
sorry, I was just trying to finish reading, but I kept getting drawn into the conversation, so I haven't quite finished it.
Stop being so interesting!
Would you like to go ahead?
I was waiting till she's done because there's something I wanted to say to her about it.
Oh.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
All right. we'll go ahead and take a break here, noble heroes. Remember, do try this at home and like and subscribe. Please, it really helps the channel. See you guys later.